to the shindig. Chop top, it says I'm gonna win big. Choose not to life of imitation. Just get close to the reservation.
What's up, home side? How's everybody doing? Ross Christopher here, enjoying my winter vortex. I got my winter hair. I've had my skull cap on all day because it is like negative 15 out and windy. And I am in my office today. I've been whiteboarding out my webinar and kind of going through all my pain points, all of the things that I'm doing for Lead Carrot. And I'm about to start my webinar. And I have literally done hundreds of webinars now. I shouldn't say 100, probably like 100, maybe like 100, 150 webinars over the last year. I did so many. I was doing like 2 a week last year, and it was pretty darn insane. By the way, don't ever fill out anything for health insurance online. I was trying to check out rates last night to see if we could get a better deal because we're paying out the buns for health insurance, and now I've had nothing but phone calls all day long on health insurance. But anyways, I want to share with you guys the mindset that I have when I'm about to go into the webinar. Now, to give a shout out, I'm using a perfect webinar template that Russell Brunson has in here. I've done tons and tons. I always change it up a little bit, but after all of the webinar, the different webinars that I've done, Russell Brunson's slides have by far, or his template has by far converted the best for me out of all of the webinars I've done. Some people are like, yeah, but Ross, didn't you take Jason Flatilin's Genius Webinar Training? And I did. And I learned so much from it. It was great. But I want to give you one really subtle but big difference that Russell Brunson, actually, let me turn this on. It'll help you see me better. That Russell Brunson does a little different than Jason Flatilin, and it has to do with the stack. So in Jason's training, he talks about, I'm going to move this over too. In Jason's training, he talks about how you want to get the price out of the way within like the first 5 to 10 minutes of doing the offer. I think he says 5 minutes. So that way they can say no, so you can get them to a yes. And you know what? It worked good. I used that webinar, and my very first one, I think we did like $40,000 off that webinar. So it was a great webinar. But the replay didn't do very well. I thought that was kind of interesting. So if you're doing a live webinar, Jason Flatilin's Genius Webinar Training did great, like on the lives. But the replay, not as good. But with Russell Brunson's, he does his different. He doesn't reveal the price until the whole stack has been complete. So Jason Flatilin reveals the price, he reveals the program, he gives you the context, future pace, the program, all that stuff, and then reveals the price within the first 5 minutes, and then he does the value stack. But let me show you all the cool things this includes. And it works, but Russell Brunson's is different because it keeps building that pressure the whole webinar, and you do the stack and like, what is the price? And then you reveal the price at the end. For me, this way has worked better on a replay. Side by side when it comes to the live, it's been, I guess I would say that I think that they were pretty close on a live, but in general, I'd say this one worked a little bit better. So now I use this one. But I'll tell you something that I learned from Jason Flatilin that I am going to share with you guys, and that's what I wanted to start with. And this has this impacts everything from your sales pitch for if you're an agency owner, if you're doing a webinar, if you're doing a presentation live in front of people. And it's something that I probably wouldn't have thought of. But when I used to build a webinar, I would start at the beginning of the webinar and I'd start building slides and I'd start building slides. And like it felt like this daunting task. And then by the time you get to the point of the offer, you're just trying to finish the webinar and you're just throwing slides. The most important part of the webinar is your intros and your story and the offer. The content of it is actually one of the least important parts of the webinar. It's still important, but it's one of the least important parts. So what Jason Flatilin does, and what I learned from him, is to start with the offer. And it makes so much sense because when you start with the offer, not only are you going into it with all this energy and you have exactly what you're really gaining clarity for the rest of the webinar, but you've got the energy in you to really put your all into those slides and how you're going to present it. And then it sets you up so nicely so that way as you're building out your contents in your intro, you know what it's leading up to. You know what it's leading up to. And it kind of reminds me of, have you ever seen the show Lost? It's almost like they didn't know what they wanted to do with the end of that show. And like season 3, season 4, you could tell they were just kind of making it up as they go, trying to figure it out. What I found is by starting with my offer, it has helped me gain so much clarity through the rest of my webinar content as I'm building it that I actually build it quicker because I know what my offer is going to be. I know what I'm leading up to. Once I build out my offer and my bonuses, then what I do is I move into my transition. And that is the part that's typically awkward between your training. I move to my intro. Then I can build my contents, then my transition. And the reason for that is because by breaking up like that, it actually helps me mentally because, okay, now I know what my offer is. Let me go set up my intro, building credibility, authority. I don't do it the way most people do. A lot of people will hop on a webinar and they throw up a picture of themselves. My name's Ross. You may have seen me on TV and doing this and that. And oh, I was also probably on NBC when you saw me that time that the squirrel got caught in the tree and then they wanted to talk about social media. That's what a lot of people do. I don't do that. What I do is I build credibility and authority through the first 4 or 5 slides by dripping in things. This is what my students have done. I'm bragging on other people. Yeah, my name's Ross, blah, blah, blah. This is my story. I want to show you guys just a quick disclaimer. You're not going to, and then I give them the disclaimer. Although this is what, the things I'm going to be teaching you is the same thing Isaac and so, what they were able to do to get their results. For those of you who have never seen me, I have an agency. I'll show a picture of me being interviewed by Dave from ClickFunnels or something like that, building authority. And then I go into my presentation. I give my story. I get them wrapped up in it. I go through the content and then so forth that way. And so right now I'm starting from scratch. I'm about to build out my my funnel or my webinar for Lead Carrot. And I wanted to share this with you guys because it's not very often I think, I should record this before I'm about to build something. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to go in here, editing these slides, and I'm going to go through and pretty much put together everything. Now, if you guys are like, where can I get these slides? Where can I get more training on this? Russell Brunson recently put together a really awesome training, the 10X Secrets. And even though it's designed mainly for people speaking from stage, there's so much good content in that training that you can utilize. And he gives you these slides in that training. But he teaches you a lot about storytelling, the Hero 2 story, and a lot of just valuable stuff. So I'm actually going to drop a link down below to that. So that way, if that seems like something you guys are interested in learning more about, you can do that. You guys have an amazing day.